how can we have the research capability amidst the pandemic? So for today, we're going to discuss three things. First, of course, we will have a review of our current research situation because we're talking about research. Second, the research adjustments that you have to do. You have to take note of this because next semester you will have your data collection, you will have to come up with your writings. Kahit naman ngayon, you have to come up with chapters 1 to 3. What are the adjustments that you have to take? And second, how can you motivate yourself to perform research? Okay. So like what I've said, it's part of our daily routine. It's part of our life to have those routines. And pandemic should not hinder us from doing these routines. As college students, you have your studies, you have your research, you have your work tasks. Work tasks meaning some of you may be student, working student. So you're juggling your work and at the same time your studies. It's part of your routine. And of course, you have your personal life. So how many of you were able to have the date yesterday because it's Valentine's Day? You have your personal life, you have your family, you have your love life, you have your friends, you have the community to engage in, and part yun ng buhay nyo, di ba? Studies, research, work tasks, personal life. And if you look at it, research is there. Being a college student is different with high school or elementary that all you have to do is to study, listen to the teacher. No. In college, you are taught of learning on your own, discover on your own, investigate on your own, and do research works. So we cannot really go away with research. The question is, since we are in pandemic, is it still possible to conduct research during pandemic? What do you think? Is it still possible to conduct research during pandemic? May I ask Annalyn Paminiano? This is just answerable by a yes or a no.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, okay. It is still possible to conduct research during pandemic. Yes, it's a big yes. Some of you were able to conduct research already, even if it's pandemic. Experimental psychology, last semester lang yon, nakapagkanda kayo. And the other subjects that you have, Filipino Psych, though proposal lamang ang ginawa, nag-research pa rin kayo in one way or another. And it is really possible. According to Shibata in 2020, it is possible to conduct research. It is possible to do the routines. However, it becomes a challenge. Kung dati, challenge na yung pagsusulat, challenge na yung paggagawa ng research, challenge na yung pagpunta sa iba't ibang lugar to collect data, it is also a challenge now and it becomes a real challenge because we have to do the things online. There are restrictions on the movements. There are a lot of limitations as to our actions and behavior at the moment because we are in a pandemic. However, even if it is a challenge, we have to do things. We have to do it. Maganda nga sa buhay, you are challenged because when you are challenged, you tend to perform. You tend to work, right? And what we can do, we have to retain the regular routine. At the same time, that routine, we have to look to that routine with purpose. Everything that we do, there's purpose. The reason why you have research in psychology, one, it has purpose once that you graduate, once that you carry the degree with you. You will realize that once that you have your work. Today, you are dealing with hardships or you have problems, obstacles as to your studies, as to research. It's part of your routine, but sooner or later, you will realize how important it is in your everyday life. You have to retain a routine with purpose and, of course, order because you cannot do things without order. if it's chaotic, if it's problematic, pagising mo pa lang, pagod ka na, of course, definitely, it will not bring positive effects. So what we can do, life goes on, and this is the new normal. Sabi, it is pandemic, new normal, lahat ng tao nag-adjust. Now that it has been 2 years of struggling, 2 years of sticking with our routines, it's now the now normal. And what we can do is to go on with life and have the check. It's part of the reality. And as to research, research is something that we can do. It's conceptualized, conducted still, even if we have a pandemic. And did you know that those research conceptualized and conducted before the pandemic may not be as relevant as it is now kasi iba na yung setting. So kung dati nung first year ka, may naiisip ka ng mga topics about your thesis. Sabi mo, ito yung gusto kong pagtalakayan pag nakarating na ako dun sa point na gagawa na ako ng research. It may be different now kasi iba na yung nangyayari. Iba na yung experience. Iba na yung situation ngayon. So you may put that on shelf, look at the surroundings, observe, look at the problems, and conceptualize new research that sprung rise from, of course, the pandemic. It is important also to look at how people think, what they are thinking at the moment, how they are feeling, what they are doing at this point, pandemic. So ang nalabas sa mga research topics ay relative sa pandemic. Kasi pandemic ngayon. May mga research na about COVID-19 kasi meron pa rin COVID-19. Even if you have your vaccines already, some of you may have your booster already, pero meron pa rin. Present pa rin siya, hindi ba? Wala pa rin cure or gamot doon sa virus. So you can look at that positively in a way that, ito yung nangyayaring situation ngayon. So dahil ito yung nangyayari, I will think of an investigation or a research relative to this situation. You consider, paano ba nag-iisip ang tao ngayon? Ano yung nararamdaman nila? What are they doing? Limited with restrictions. So ano ngayon? Yung makukuha ko doon para yung aking paper is in context of reality and something that has purpose. Kasi nga, according to Knowles, in 2020, baka yung mga topic before, you put that on shelf muna. Kasi hindi na yun yung applicable at the moment. Since we have to do this, it's part of a routine, we have to check the reality. Next is that it's possible to conduct research. Hence, we have to have adjustments because before it's different, especially now that we have to have some modifications as to our research activities. So what are the things that we have to do or consider in our adjustment? First is modify your research plans. Kayo ba ay may mga plano na sa thesis ninyo? Sino magiging kagrupo ko? Anong topic ko? Paano ko siya gagawin? Sinong gusto kong advisor? Mamaya pag-uusapan natin. Paano yung pagpili ng advisor at technical critic? Paano ko maiipasa? Paano ko maiitawid yung research? So yung modify research plans, dati gusto mo quali. Pero sabi mo, naku, hindi ako nakakalabas kasi wala akong vaccine. So qualitative is not for you. Kasi pag qualitative, pupunta ka talaga dun sa mga areas na kung saan yung subject mo, yung participants mo. Dati, ang dami mong target na participants, the number, too many. But now, since it's pandemic, parang medyo mahirap yung buhay. Konti lang yung makukuha kong participants na mag-agree with a given time, you modify your plans. However, whether you modify the plans, you have also to retain the value and reliability of the data collected. Take note of the ethics. I suppose you know the ethical considerations in research. Hindi pwede yung basta na, hindi pwede yung, ay nag-conduct ako, ito yung survey na ginawa ko. Ang survey ba validated? Ang survey ba reliable? Kahit na pandemic, kahit na online yung setting, kailangan you have to ensure the psychometric soundness of the test. Kasi data collection is very important. Magko-collect ka pa rin talaga ng data. Hindi pwede yung magic. Hindi ko na gagawin. Ano na lang ako. Pulang ako dito. Hindi lalabas ang research in just a snap. You have to collect data and hindi yun pwedeng dayain. Kasi this is research. This is a scholarly activity. So you have to retain the value, reliability, consider the ethics, yung honor, yung integrity, honesty, nagkontak ka ba talaga, nag-data gather, test ka ba talaga ng validity and reliability? Still the same. Kung pre-pandemic, ginagawa mo yun, now that we are facing still pandemic, you have still to have your ethics with you. Another, be mindful of target participants. Before, kapag nalaman na may thesis ang bata, ang bilis sumagot ng mga tao, tulong dun sa bata, tulong sa estudyante. But if you notice, ngayon, ang daming mga posting sa Facebook looking for participants with gantong criteria. Kasi, iba na yung context, iba yung situation ng mga tao ngayon. Kasi, busy, may pandemic, may kanya-kanyang ginagawa, may mga restrictions, may mga limitations. So in choosing your research participants, you have to be mindful. It's part of your research plan. Be mindful of the target participants. Mabilis ko ba siyang makakausap? Sila ba talaga yung dapat kong i-target? Sila ba talaga yung makakatulong sa akin? Paano kapag hindi sila nagtuloy sa aking research activity? Anong gagawin ko? Be also sensitive with the situation of your participants. Ikaw, you might be contained already. You might be okay already with the situation. But your participants may not be okay. Baka ikaw naka-move on ka na, yung participants mo hindi pa. So what will you do then? You have to be sensitive. Ayaw magsagot. What will you do? You have to have your plans and adjustment. Next, assess participants' responses to surveys, interviews, etc. Noong pre-pandemic, bibigay ko lang yung questionnaire, okay na. Checkan mo, bahala ka sa buhay mo kung naintindihan mo or hindi. May mga ganon, di ba? Mga researcher, lalo na yung mga nagmamadali. Pero mali yun. Dapat in-explain mabuti yung instrument, in-explain yung statements, you are readily available. Pag may tanong yung participants, paano ngayon? Online. Paano ngayon? Kung pwede kang pupunta dun sa lugar na yon na iyong pag-conduct ka ng research, hindi naman lagi. Call, text, online, Google Meet ang iyong gagamitin, Google Form. So you have to really scrutinize the responses of your participants. Tama ba to? O basta niya na lang sinagutan? So how will you do that? Because you have to retain, babalik dun sa number 2, you have to retain the value of your work. You have to retain the value of research that you have. Hindi porket pandemic, basta mo na lang gagawin. This is thesis, this is research. So you should have adjustments and you have to be mindful of this one. Next, ayan, may picture. One of the targets of researchers, aside from presenting the work for others, for audience to look into your research output, is of course to publish. Sa cycle, nagawa ka ng research, pinresent mo, na-defend mo, yehey, hindi lang siya applicable na iput mo lang sa shelf, nasa library lang. How can others look into the context or the output of your research? You have to find journals, publishers na ipapublish yung work mo. Of course, this is optional kasi college pa lamang naman. Pero I will challenge you to publish your work. Maganda rin yung pag tinype mo yung pangalan mo sa Google, lalabas yung mga research works mo. So look for operational journals amidst the pandemic. Also, in looking at related literatures, merong mga journal publishers na tumigil mag-produce ng mga research work. So, paano gagawin mo doon? Paano yung anong plan B mo? May mga adjustments ka na gagawin. Ito yung dating binabasahan ko ng mga articles articles, hindi na sila nagpo-produce. So lilipat ka sa iba for you to come up with a thorough review of related literature. For publications, gusto mo yon, look for operational journals. Kasi nga yung iba, hindi nagpa-function. Next, you have your mindset. Research is part of reality. It's part of your routine. You have to do adjustment. The last part is you motivate yourself to do research. Kahit naman ayaw mo, kailangan mong gawin. May mga bagay na ayaw mo pero wala kang magagawa. It's still needed. Ayaw mo nang kumain, wala kang magagawa. Kailangan mo pa rin kumain because you need to live. It's similar with the research. Even if you don't want it, sana naman you like it, you have to be motivated to perform it. So what are the things that you can do to motivate yourself? Set and appreciate small daily research goals. Every day. Later, I will show you the schedule. Dapat meron kang na-accomplish. It's high time for you to be productive. Ilang taon na rin naman ang pandemic, so naka-adjust na rin yung katawan mo, naka-adjust na rin yung mindset mo. And if you look at it, motivate yourself, uy, konti na lang. So ito yung goals ko sa buhay ko. Every day dapat may na-accomplish ako kasi kapag na-accomplish ko to, ayun, nandun na ako sa edge, nandun na ako sa peak, malapit na akong gumraduate. So set and appreciate small daily research goals. Second, this is very important. I see posts in Facebook nakalagay sa estudyante in a relationship with thesis, in a relationship with research. Pwede naman yun, ano, kung yun ang feeling mo. Pero you should also have time to relax. Sabi kanina sa statement, you set goals every day, kahit small. O, natapos kong i-type yung questionnaire ko, natapos ko yung chapter 1. Pero you should not forget also relaxation. Relax. Kasi if you are stressed out, if you are anxious of what you're doing, you cannot finish it. Pwedeng matapos pero hindi maganda yung output. So you should balance research work and relaxation para ma-motivate ka pa rin to do things. Next, very important, we are psych majors, prioritize your mental health. If you are tired already of writing, maganda nga sa inyo, di ba, group kayo, group of 3. Kapag pagod na yung isa, edi yung isa naman ang gagawa. Kapag nanghihina na yung isa ang kapitan. No? Kaya dapat yung iyong grupo, someone na will push you up. Hindi yung, ay, stress ka na nga, mas stress pa yung kagrupo mo. Dapat, we have to prioritize your mental health. Tulungan. Psych majors. Thesis ito, third year na kayo, second semester, pero you should know how to balance things. This is my routine, these are the things that others expect from me, but I should love myself. I should know when to stop. If you cannot function, merong mga araw na sabi ni Doc Lou, dapat daw ay everyday may goals. Paano pag sa isang araw wala akong magawa? Kahit basahin ko yung 10 article, wala akong maisulat. E di stop for a while. Something is wrong with your mental health. And then, go back once that you're okay. Pero sana, once that you're okay, ay may time pa. Baka naman, sabi ni Doc, ay once that I'm okay, baka hindi na bumalik. So you have to prioritize your mental health. But also consider the reality, no? Be okay with not being highly productive. Do not blame yourself, oh my God, I didn't do anything today. Nagtutulog lang ako. Baka naman sa pagtulog mo, napanagnipan mo na yung topic mo sa research, no? Di, productive ka ba din? Challenge ito eh. Kasi nung pandemic, what I've realized, yung tao, naging workaholic. Diba, nilagay yung mga gamit sa bahay. Nagkaroon ng work from home setup. Kahit mga estudyante, bumili ng gadgets, para bang napaka-productive. Pero if you reflect on it, kung hindi kayo nag-pandemic, ganun pa rin kaya yung setup. May mga estudyante naman na bibili lang ng turon, bibili lang ng ano, di ba? Yung nagbago ba? Nagbago yung sistema. And parang yung expectations, dahil ngayon ay ganito, I have to be productive. But there are times that you cannot be productive because of what you feel, what you are experiencing. So just be okay with that. And then move forward. Wag naman mag-stuck sa lagi na lang okay lang yan, okay lang yan. Of course, you have to challenge yourself. Remember that life is a continuous battle. Hindi ka mag-move forward kung hindi mo rin i-challenge yung sarili mo. Okay? Let me also share with you the context of Ikigai. Ayan, no, yung circle, what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. For you to motivate yourself in research, gawin mo yung bagay na gusto mo. Sa tingin mo ay kailangan, sa tingin mo kikita ka, meron kang makukuha, at magaling ka, competent ka doon. Huwag kang gagawa ng research na hindi mo gusto. Meron akong estudyante before, sabi niya, "Ma'am, hindi ko po kasi gusto yan. Advisor ko po ang pumili." At the end of the day, you are the researcher. You are the major proponent of your thesis. So dapat, gusto mo yun. Dapat nakikita mo yung research as something valuable that you can really push until the end. That you can really do until the end. So that would be a motivating factor, ikigai context na hindi ka mapapagod. Hindi ka tatamarin. Kasi gusto mo yung topic mo. Gusto mo yung ginagawa mo. However, since there is pandemic, we are still facing pandemic. There are restrictions, the limitations. I know. I love this one. I love the topic. This is something that we need. I'm good at. However, you look also at the disadvantages, the limitations of the work. Kaya ko ba? Kasi yun yung kasama mo hanggang dulo eh. Research in Psychology 1, meron pang 2. So that maipasa yung Research in Psychology 1, hindi lang sa gusto mo yung topic, kundi kaya mo siyang ituloy hanggang sa huli, hanggang sa Research in Psychology 2. So I think if that would be your context, that would be your thinking, you will be motivated to do the research that you have in mind. And remember, keep going no matter what. Ay, naku, nakakapagod. So relax and do the thing, but you have to move. You have to keep going, not just for others, but definitely for yourself. Because you cannot have your degree, you cannot move forward to the next level if you will not keep going. For the takeaway for today, accept that research is part of our daily routine. You cannot go away with it. You have no choice. Sacrifices and adjustments should be done for good research work during pandemic. Even it's pandemic, we can still do research. It's just that we have to do some modifications on our end, on our plan. And aside from the adjustment, continuously motivate yourself to do research. However, you should also consider your health. Continuously motivate self to do research without compromising your health. So that would be all for today. Let me just present the tasks that you need to finish or a timeline of activities. First, you have to upload your registration form in Google Form. Later, I will show the link for the Google Form I'll give you. Since, according to one of the students, wala pa kayong reg form, I'm praying na meron na kayong reg form sa Feb 28 so that I know whether you really enrolled in the class. Kasi may mga case na hindi pala enrolled, wala sa list. So, paano yung grade mo? Paano yung iyong final status sa class? So, I'll give you Feb 28 to upload the registration form. Second, I ask you to have a documentation because I also have their one-page photo documentation of the course orientation. Your interaction with me, kanina may mga sumagot or later baka merong sasagot, may tatanong. Ang deadline niyan is February 22. One page only of what transpired today. Form a group with 3 members. This is it. You have to have your thesis buddies. Deadline is Feb 18, 2022. This Friday, I would like to know the groups already so that I know meron bang wala nakagrupo, kailangan mag-apat. Pero for the meantime, 3 members per group. Later, I will assign a secretary who will give me the list. And then, read literatures and present at least 10 literatures for proposed topic for thesis. Topic proposal form. The topic proposal form is already on your Google Classroom. Deadline is March 1, 2022. March 1, 2022, mark that on your calendar because that is also the title defense. So before I did ask for title defense, but now I will ask for a title defense para mas okay yung mga titles na makukuha natin sa klase natin. So medyo mabilis ang mga pangyayari. Third week, today is the first week. Next week, second. The other week, kailangan na ng title. Bakit mabilis? Ganun talaga. Mabilis talaga. Kasi we only have 5 months to come up with your proposal. And the most important is the title. Kung wala kang topic, wala kang title, wala kang topic, wala kang title ng research, paano ka mag-move forward? So, dapat by March 1, may topic ka na. Meron ka nang nakokonsepto with your members, with your group mates. At ang deadline is March 1, 2022. Okay? This will be the link for the Google Classroom, the syllabus, the activities, lahat, tasks ninyo na andito na. Ayan. Later, I will provide the link siguro sa chat box so that you can add yourself. But take note, you use your CVSU email. I will kick you out if you will use your personal email there. You use the CVSU email. And also on our Google Classroom, naandon yung setting. Kapag may mga meetings tayo, yung meeting link na naka-attach sa Google Classroom, yun na yung gagamitin natin lagi. Not unless may problems with that, pero yun na yung gagamitin lagi natin na meeting link. Which is ito, yung ginagamit natin ngayon. Ito na lagi yung gagamitin natin. Naka-attach ito sa Google Classroom. And then that would be all. Thank you very much for attending and listening to this session. I will now open the floor for questions. Any clarifications? You may now unmute yourself if you have questions and clarifications for research in Psychology 1. Hello. Wala, everything is okay? Everything is clear? Okay, sige. Lander, go ahead.
Good morning po, ma'am. Although,
Yes,
unrelated po to yung question ko po dun sa, sa subject natin. Bali, clarification lang po dun sa GMIT po, ma'am. Dun sa recording po ba? As of January 10, dito po sa, yung, yung sa function po ng recording po sa GMIT po, ma'am.
anong gagawin?
Di ba po dapat mag-record po? Bali po, as of January 10, 2022 po, yung recording po is available na lang po for teaching and learning upgrade and education plus customers po. Para po naging premium po yung sa recording po ng function. And then,
Sorry. Ibig sabihin, kaya hindi tayo makapag-record today?
siguro po,
yun
ma'am, yes po, ma'am. Kailangan po available po, kailangan po parang may subscription po kayo, ma'am. Ganun. And then po yung sa, po,
okay, thank you. Yes.
dun po sa G-class po, ma'am, yung, yung past subject po na psychological assessment po, ma'am, hindi po ba i-archive po yun, ma'am? Kasi po, meron pa po kami.
Kasi nakikita nyo pa siya sa sa accounting nyo. Oo. Kindly wait na lang for my freedom ko yun as a faculty. Pero sige, pwede ko namang i-archive yun. May plan naman ako ito archive the G classrooms na before. Just wait na lang doon sa professor na assign. Kasi ako personally, ang daming naka-attach sa akin na G classroom kasi ako din yung depth chair ng psychology. Pero I did not ask the other instructors to archive or do something about it because that is their decision. It's up to them whether they will archive or what. But tingnan natin ano. 'Yon. Ano pa?
Opo, ma'am. Yun lang po, ma'am. Thank you po. Wala na po akong question.
Oo. Aha. Okay. Let me just clarify, no? Meron lang akong kung nagre-record kayo, I don't know kung nagre-record kayo ng session natin ngayon, pero meron akong personal na kaklase ninyo instructed na mag-record kasi hindi nga ako makapag-record. So manual yung recording niya. Pero let me just clarify na hindi every meeting you need to record our session. Ang documentation na sinabi ko kanina is photo documentation. So I just want you to document. Halimbawa, si Lander, sana nag-open siya ng camera, pinicturean niya yung sarili niya kasi nakipag-usap siya sa akin. Parang ganon. Pero hindi ko kayo nire-require na i-record yung lahat yung sessions natin kasi it will be tasky on your end. Meron lang akong pinakiusapan na mag-record today kasi hindi ko makita yung record button dito sa Gmeet natin ngayon. Pero ayun, may shinare si Lander about the record reading sa Gmeet. So, kaya pala hindi nakakapag-record. And then, dun sa Google Classroom, I'll post the link on our chat box. Para makapag-add na kayo doon. Huwag na lang ibigay sa iba kasi it's very distinct sa inyong klase, itong Google Classroom na to. For the archive naman ng mga G Classroom, you wait na lang your professors, your instructors, if they will do that. Okay? Any concern pa? Chapters 1 to 3 po ba yung tatapusin this semester? Yes. Proposal. Chapters 1 to 3. Okay, you're welcome. I will show you also the syllabus, though this is part of the Google Classroom para lang makita ninyo yung setting. So 3 yung credit unit ng Research in Psychology 1. Very familiar na naman kayo with the the core values. Pero you look at the course description, this is a research method course which aims to train the student in psychological research, beginning from choosing a relevant problem topic, reviewing the literature, postulating a conceptual framework, to planning for methodology and data analysis. The output is a mature research proposal. That's also the reason why I would ask you to come up with a proposal, which includes chapters 1 to 3. Kung makikita ninyo yung ating course coverage, so nandito tayo sa first week, may orientation tayo. Ito yung inyong OBA 1 documentation, photo documentation of students' interaction with me, your professor. And then next week, we will have the research title. Kasi sa third week, meron na kayong title proposal defense. Okay? March 1 yun. And then for the 4th to 7th week, you have to come up with your introduction. So may mga meetings pa rin tayo dito, consultations, but most of the time, consultation. And you have to submit your chapter 1 on the 7th week. 8th to 11th week, chapter 2 or the review of related literature. 11th week, you have to submit your chapter 2. 9th week is an academic break. 10th week is the midterm exam. So, hindi ko lang ito sinama, pero 11th week, dapat meron na kayong chapter 2. 12th week to 15th week, methodology. Para sa 15th week, meron na kayong chapter 3. And then, on the 16th week, I will teach you how to present the paper, oral and through poster. Kasi magpe-prepare kayo for your thesis proposal oral defense. Though meron na kayong mga experience of the oral defense, This is different somehow kasi thesis yung ipepresent ninyo, much formal, talagang meron kayong isa-isang panel na, meron kayong 3 panel na mag-scrutinize talaga ng paper ninyo. At kailangan yung ma-accomplish yung hinihingi nila. You will have your advisor and technical critic with you also. So we'll have a webinar for that and expect that on the 16th week. A week before the final, we'll have your thesis proposal oral defense. And then the week after, you have to submit your thesis proposal. Kapag hindi kasi nakapasa ng revisions at submission or hindi pumasa sa oral defense ng proposal, hindi kayo makakapag-enroll ng Research in Psychology 2. Okay, malinaw yun ha. Pag hindi pumasa dito sa oral defense, hindi rin nakapag-submit ng revised thesis proposal, you cannot enroll Research in Psychology 2 because it is the first phase, continuation. Kung mapapansin ninyo sa grading, S, VS, US ang grade kapag Research in Psychology 1. Kasi yung grade mo, kumbaga nakakip pa, continuation kasi ay sa Research in Psychology 2. Hindi ko sinasabi na walang grade yung Research in Psychology 1, huwag niyong i-mind, huwag niyong pag-ubusan ng panahon. No. Much nga na kailangan mo siyang pag-ubusan ng panahon at i-concentrate at i-focus. Kasi yung grade na makukuha mo sa Research in Psychology 1, nakasalalay doon yung magiging grade mo sa Research in Psychology 2. So, pwede ko kayong bigyan ng S na grade dito or VS. Pagdating sa Research in Psychology 2, doon yung makikita yung final grade ninyo for your thesis. Nag-a-award din tayo ng Best Presenter, Best Thesis. So, that could be also a motivating factor for you. Okay? Any more question? I'm looking at the chat box. Malinaw naman? May naiisip na ba kayong mga kagrupo ninyo sa inyong thesis? 3 members muna. Okay? If I were you, you choose the person na sa tingin nyo, makakatulong nyo talaga. Malapit sa inyo, kasi okay din yung meron kayong physical interaction sa kanila, di ba? Kasi ay kapag online lagi, may mga restrictions. Maganda rin nakakapunta kayo sa bahay ng isa't isa. Of course, following the protocol pa rin. There is a question here. Title, ilang title po ang need? Magandang tanong yun, Christine. Ilang title po ang need po sa March 1? Actually, isang title lang ang need. Kaya lang, ang concern sa isang title, pag hindi siya na-approve sa March 1, wala ka ng backup. So it would be better siguro na iset natin ngayon sa klase nyo, since 3 kayo sa isang group, you prepare 3 titles. Isa-isa kayo. Tapos kung ano yung maa-approve, edi better. Kasi hindi lang siya basta title eh. You have to provide me with proofs. Dapat may literature kayong nabasa. Ide-defend niyo yung title. Ide-defend niyo yung topic ninyo. So you prepare 3 topics, working title, and then from there, let us see kung ano yung ma-approve. Pwede rin naman, kung gusto ninyo, sabihin nyo, ay, I'm very confident dito sa topic na to. Eh di isa lang ang i-prepare ng grupo ninyo. Pero hanggat hindi na-approve yung title, yung topic ninyo, hindi kayo makakapaggawa ng chapters 1 to 3. Also, kapag meron na kayong working title, may topic na kayo, dun na kayo magkakaroon ng advisor at technical critic. So you have to work closely with them kasi sila ay co-researchers ninyo. Si advisor at si technical critic. Maganda din na ang inyong topic ay, of course, psychologically related and something na specialization ng mga faculty ng Department of Psychology. Kasi halimbawa, magta-topic kayo, magta-topic kayo ng sports psychology. May kinalaman sa sport, psychological context. wala namang sports psychology sa department. So, baka ma-disapprove yung topic ninyo kasi walang mag-handle sa inyo. Walang makakatulong sa inyo para dun sa thesis ninyo. So you also consider the field expertise ng mga possible advisor and technical critic ninyo para hindi rin kayo mahirapan sooner or later. Okay? Any more concern? Questions? Thank you. Midterm exam, walang midterm exam sa thesis. Ano naman ang ini-midterm exam natin? Blank is abbreviation for SOP, ganun ba yun? Or wala tayong midterm exam kasi thesis to. So, ang kailangan ko ay yung mga nakasulat sa core syllabus, kung ano yung mga kinakailangang ipasa. Kung, again, babalikan natin yung syllabus yung guide natin, no? End of second week, yun yung photo documentation. And then, third week, yun yung title. 7th week, introduction. 11th week, RRL. 15th week, chapter 3. 16th week, yun na yung sa webinar natin. 17th week, oral defense. 18th week, submission ng thesis proposal. So kung wala doon sa syllabus, you should not have problems with that kasi hindi siya kasali. Hindi siya typical na subject. Sabi ko nga, ang final output is thesis. Okay? So walang midterm exam na usual na mga objective type. Kasi ay thesis ang kinakailangan dito. Kung ano lang ang nasa syllabus, yun lang ang kailangan ko. Anything more? Mayroon pa bang questions?